Hello, everybody. This is Linda DeVitas, owner and founder of healingsonthego.com. I'm a psychic clairvoyant medium, certified healer, Reiki healer, professional space clearer, candle manifestation channeling. I also wrote a book, My Journey from Darkness to the Light. To see everything that I offer, go to healingsonthego.com. I would like to introduce my special guest today and welcome him back, Matthew Pinard. How are you, Matthew? He's an international author. How many books do you have? Lots of them, huh?
Well, the 9th one has just been submitted for editorial publication, for them to start putting it together.
Wow.
So, yeah. It's been quite a journey. I just when I think I'm done, something comes along and I'm like, the whole world needs to see and hear this,
That's right. What is it about for everyone that doesn't know?
The 9th one will be called The Glory Cloud. I know we've talked about, the 8th one is called In the Key of Believe. What are they about? They're about divine interventions, manifestations in our skies, people being then healed of things they should not be healed of. One guy's story was even in the New York Times, and was given a terminal heart sarcoma diagnosis, which is an extremely rare malignant heart cancer, and had a tumor the size of a Pepsi can, and it went down to the size of a like an apricot. Sorry, that's Bruno the Black Lab in the background.
Don't worry, let him speak.
Yeah, he likes to speak. Yeah, that's in the Key of Believe, and so the 9th one will be called The Glory Cloud.
Oh, nice.
And a lot of that has to do with prophetic manifestations that are occurring daily, and then kind of the doctrine of rapture and harpazo in the Bible, and how is it manifesting today in our skies, and what are the world events going on right now that speak to end times prophetic revelations, the future, what the future holds for all of us. So
big hello to Anne. And it's telling you hello, Matthew.
Yeah, hey.
Yeah, does it talk about the crazy drones that's happening or no?
I don't touch on that, but what's interesting? I filmed something going over my rooftop Saturday night, and it's either a helicopter or one of those drones that's making a loud rotary sound, but very weird lights. There's been what somebody reported, there was an Empire State Building sized drone over Arizona last week.
Wow.
So it's interesting because, the Bible mentions, don't let no man deceive you. And even President Trump, or soon to be President-elect Trump, has said, the government really knows what these things are. They're just not telling you.
Of course.
And it's that kind of, end times deception that the Bible warned of, really. So I think there's a lot to say that we're there. Oh, wow. And that's what the glory cloud is about. When Jesus comes back for his church, we're all raptured up to a glory cloud where we meet him in the sky, and then we go to heaven with him for all of eternity. Wow. So it's got a very beautiful kind of rapturous or prophetic kind of tone to it. And then there's photos that I have a photo of him in his crown hovering on what looks like a glory cloud.
Wow.
So it's like every time I kind of touch on something, I get an image in the sky to confirm that's what I wanted you to write about,
That's amazing.
So I feel like I'm simply a co-author of these books. Truly, I believe that they're divine. I actually had a Catholic priest read them and said, you're a mystic, basically accept this and enjoy the ride, because very few people, like the Bible said, a lot are called, many are chosen, few are called. I don't know that I'm called, but I do know that what's happening, not just in the world, but in my skies and other people's skies that I talk to, is very unique. And it is like, we got to beware of deception, because there's technologies out there that can make things look like other things. And so, yeah, I don't know. This drone thing, I don't know how to comment on it. I mean, there's some people that think they're
ETs,
demons,
right?
demons or aliens.
Terrestrials, right?
Yeah. So.
And it's cute. She says, I'm scared of them.
And you know what? That's an important
People are.
comment, because I think that's the whole point, is they want us in a state of fear. You know, I read I'm a psychology major, so the masses are more easily controlled through fear tactics than if they're organized and informed and not fearful.
That's right. What does Christmas spirit mean to you?
For me, it's what I try to epitomize in my books. I was recently told by one of the ladies who's going to be in my 9th book that she had been facing a terminal cancer diagnosis, and a nurse had given her one of my books, and then she found it. She credits it for saving her life, and she looks like she's going to beat a terminal diagnosis. And so the Christmas spirit to me is like it truly, it's all about giving. I think we're here on this realm to learn a lesson, to learn how to heal, harness energy. I think people that, and I've been guilty of this just as much as anybody, but people that get distracted by pure material things, which is also at the core of Christmas, right? It's gift giving, but
it's the, what do you call it? The wealth season. Like everyone's spending money.
For me personally, I've been living pretty frugally, just kind of paying my bills and getting by.
Yes,
but
that's me too.
There's a spiritual piece with that I get, that I also think of when I think of Christmas. Like, we're here to serve other people, not ourselves. That's truly what I believe. Like Christ Mass, and that's what his message was. He washed feet.
Yeah.
But he was granted incredible abilities to do incredible miracles, and I've seen such things in my books, and that's what the books are about. But the Christmas spirit to me is about giving and serving.
Exactly. Yeah. Giving and receiving, and it's all, I think that the best part of Christmas is, for me, it's giving. Like, to see someone happy, to help the less fortunate, to go out of your way like that. So, can you tell us one Christmas miracle that you witnessed?
Yeah, in the Key of Believe, I mentioned the guy with the heart sarcoma. The tumor shrunk on its own. He's alive 4 years after given like 6 months to live. There's another guy in there, JC. He had really bad lupus. Like, his leg was twice the size of normal, and we started praying for him. I think we started praying for him around November of 2023, and the last photo I saw, both legs looked perfectly healthy and normal. Wow. And we got his initials in the skies. We got all kinds of signs that he was going to be healed. And he wrote in the book, like, I just can't wrap my head around some guy I've never met from across the country can go into a church and order this, and this happens to me, and I'm where I'm at now. And that to me is like the true power of what I think true Christianity is. We have all of us have an incredible access to the divine if we choose it. Obviously, this world has a problem discerning divine from fallen, right? Or low vibration. But everybody can tap into that. And the point of the book is, I didn't do anything special for these people that experienced these miracles other than go and request that they be done. Like they
say, ask and you shall receive. Yeah, if you ask.
Another one happened the other day. I was doing a rosary for world peace, because I think we are close to World War III right now, barring some miracle, which is interesting that it's falling near Christmas. But I'm sitting there literally doing a rosary for world peace, and this candle, I can send the video, it starts blowing up like.
Oh, yeah, you showed it to me. That's amazing.
And that was very miraculous. It was like right during my rosary, right in front of the cross and this painting of Mary. And, I even showed it to a friend whose father's a preacher, and he goes, well, not everything's a miracle. Sometimes the glass gets too hot and blah, 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 blah.
Right.
There's, I heard there's a famous quote. I can't remember who said it, but there's two ways of looking at the world. And one is everything is a miracle. And the other is miracles don't exist, you know? So I think if you're trying to, point is if you're trying to look through a certain glass at something, you know, it's just like politics. You can make anything look like anything that it isn't,
Exactly.
or that it is.
Yeah, it's funny that people won't, like, they won't believe in spirits, but they'll believe in hauntings. I'm like, isn't that the same thing?
Yeah, right. What's the difference there?
I said,
And if you believe in that, but you don't believe in God, that also doesn't make sense to me, you know?
Exactly. And I said, so the evil ones survive, but the good ones don't, right? I don't know. Some people
there's that famous quote, the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he doesn't exist. And I would agree with that. Yeah. Because I think he's got his fingers right now in about 10 different world leaders. And we can see the result of that being this total on edge. I mean, I'm listening. I'm a veteran. I have a military history degree. I listen to these communications of nuclear bombers over Russia, and this is not exercises, guys. I mean, I hate to even to say what that could mean, but sorry, Black Lab Chow.
Exactly. Don't worry. So basically, miracles happen in so many different forms. You do them through prayer. I do them through candles. We all have our own techniques. And one of mine with candles, they're called the Trinity candles. And those are like prayer. It is prayer with an image of the person through the candle, 3 days. And within 3 days, miracles happen. I've seen people walking out of hospices where they were supposed to die. I've done only like 10 or 12 of them, but they've all been miraculous. So yeah, we all have the power. We just need to pray and ask, you know.
Well, I know we did the previous shows on my connection to James Douglas Morrison of the Doors, but he used to say, we're reaching for death on the end of a candle. We're trying for something that's already found us. So he saw the connection with candles in the spirit realm, and he understood. And he's even taught me how to, when I pray for these people, for some reason, I was putting my palms over the tops of the candles. I don't know why. I just felt like I was led to do that. And sure enough, as soon as I did that, I'd walk outside and there'd be just something crazy in the sky. It was almost like it tore the veil in half, you know?
Okay, we're going to take a very quick commercial break, and we'll be right back right after these messages. Stay tuned, everybody.
I'm sorry to bother you, but I have 30 seconds to give you a very important message. My name is Arthur Lee. I'm the CEO and inventor of LifeVac, a simple choking rescue device that could save a life in a choking emergency. We've saved over 3,000 lives now, but we're not there. 5,000 people a year choke to death, one child every 5 days. Please consider protecting your family in a choking emergency with LifeVac. Go to lifevac.net today. Thank you for your time.
Hi, I am Linda DeVitis. I am a psychic, clairvoyant medium, and certified healer. I have also written a book, My Journey from Darkness to the Light, which is available on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, and on my website, www.healingsonthego.com. If you would like to book an appointment with me, call me at 917-929-4935. Thank you. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back with my special guest, Matthew Pinard. Hi, Matthew. How you doing?
Is that simulated audience applause?
I'm from the other side. I had to switch. These connections sometimes get a little bit rattled, so we had to switch the scenery a little bit. How about this? Maybe this looks a little better. So back to Christmas and its miracles. I wanted to ask you, let's see, during the angel season, like, do you feel like there are more miracles during Christmas, or sometimes, just random?
Yeah, that's a good question. What's interesting? texted somebody because I help these watch groups, these rapture watchers, track things. I'm getting crazy things like today at 4:35 p.m. my left ear just started ringing off,
Wow.
like so loud, like something was right here. And I looked up what 4:35 means, and it means harvest.
Oh, wow.
Right. So we're a little bit past like the new wine harvest. We're, Christmas feast seasons are harvest, feasts usually, but also the rapture. And the point of my title of my book, ninth book, The Glory Cloud, is this rapturous event where we meet Jesus on a cloud. And it's meant to imply we're then at an elevated state of existence, and there's people that go so far as to say our bodies will literally transform into light. And then there's some people that say, no, that's all just metaphorical. Jesus is within you always. You can always just ascend to the clouds. And so, me, I mean, people jokingly call me the cloud man. But I do get around certain times, this morning it was a giant wedding bride in the sky.
Wow.
There's a lot of weddings going on right now. They said in end times it would be like the days of Noah, eating, drinking, marrying, and marrying. The rapture is considered a wedding itself because you're being married to Jesus when he returns for us. But definitely there's certain seasons where I think the activity is heightened. I try to celebrate everything as much as I can. I also go to church and I do a lot of prayer. So I think that also brings these things through whenever I do that. I started tracking it once, if I just woke up and didn't go and do prayers, there would be like nothing in the sky. And the next day I'd do the prayers and the whole sky is just blown up, like with things that clearly look angelic, like clearly shaped wings, clearly giant faces,
Yeah.
So it's almost this interesting thing where I think there's this, a lot of us growing up in Catholic school, we got mocked, oh, you wacky Christians, and you think prayers do this. And then they thought, you're just the bad kids and you think you can go confess everything on Sunday. But I think that people mistake prayer for like this uber, I'm so righteous and holy and I never make a mistake. But I think what it is, I think the more we do it, the more we actually, number one, are protected, which in end times right now, I think is really important because I guarantee you, I know there's demonic things on the earth right now, and I'm not the only one getting photos of them. I could show you picture after picture I've gotten, but I've seen things online too. And so this end times eschatology period we're in, Revelations, I think the prayer is not, sometimes I need it just to get through the day. And then I do get a burst of energy. So I think there's an energetic component, not just in the spirit, but also that translates into the body. And personally, I think that's the key to some of these miraculous healings. I think, number one, our brains are giant energy centers, right? They can conduct and receive enormous amounts of energy, probably more than we think. And the scientists say we use 10% of it. Well, what if the other 90 is for things like ripping cancer out of a guy's heart that you've never met from across the country? That's power to me. And that's what I seek, because who doesn't want, that's got, all of a sudden you're wielding divine like powers. That's not heresy either. The disciples, the apostles themselves were documented able to do miracles even after Jesus left.
Wow, that's
He
amazing.
even said that if you do anything through my name, it'll be done here on earth and in heaven.
Wow. See, that's amazing.
And I think that's like a Christmas, that's what we're all there for. I know you and I were joking, so I grew up with my father's family of 9 and my mother's family of 7. There were Christmases, so-and-so's having Christmas. Well, so-and-so said, well, I can't be there if so-and-so's there too. So, totally opposite of Christmas spirit. Like, if they're going to be there, I'm not going, because it'll turn into this fight. But that's what I grew up with. That's what I was used to. The adults, like, in my family.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I don't have a lot of that now. I mean, I've lost friendships over the years, but that's because they were growing and building families. But for me to go home with my wife and see our families, I think it's all about connection.
Exactly. Holidays bring joy, but they also bring a lot of tension. And that happens, I guess, with us too. Like you'll see as the person walks in with their attitude, and then there's an argument coming up. So people are like, how can I deal with that? How can I deal with, knowing that there's going to be an argument? You can feel the tension, but you're supposed to stay calm and compassionate around difficult people.
So one thing I do, and my wife gets so pissed when I do this, but I will literally pull up some of the angel photos from my books or ones I've taken recently. And I say, hey, look at this. Can you see the angel? And to me, it's a little test. Like some of them will see it and you'll see this peace, this calm or their face lights up, right? Because they're seeing something in the supernatural. So that's a nice little trick I like to do to, number one, I want to see if they can see it. So then you're testing spiritual sight. But talking about the ultimate diffusing of an uncomfortable, situation.
I know. And then I would just say, just try to ignore them. But then you can feel the tension in the air. So this is so funny. So I know it's like before I go somewhere and I know there's going to be something negative, I bubble myself. I ask for protection, so I don't pick up anything negative. Because there's been times I went to someone's house and then we'd come home and it felt like a whole big disaster. Like what just happened now? Like it's like all tension, all fighting. So people have to protect themselves and like my mom used to always tell me, she's like, carry salt with you or a piece of bread. Bread is known as the strength of Jesus Christ in the Greek religion. So whenever there was something negative, they would tell me carry bread with you. So I remember used to shoving it in my pockets or sprinkling, little tips, holding salt and rubbing your hands with it. Different little techniques. And of course, too, work a lot.
That's the whole point of you think of the Last Supper, right? And Jesus saying, drink my blood and eat this bread is me.
Yeah.
People that knock, my Catholic religion as a vampiric religion, but it's in a sense, it's meant more to be like anywhere you commune in my name or gather, like at a Christmas dinner or, I'm with you there. So that to me, it was more symbolic of him being present through these things that then who doesn't have wine and bread at a Christmas party, right? I mean, so in a sense, we're still kind of celebrating this Last Supper.
That's
true. And it's
true.
meant to be this divine, they were weeping his coming crucifixion, which some of them probably still didn't believe was going to happen. And so we've had Christmases, my wife's nephew unfortunately drowned last year. And so that's another component, like how many people aren't there this year,
So sad.
That passed, and we've had uncles that have passed and aunts. And so sometimes you get together and you're like, wow, this is a little different.
And then there's the people, I had a dream and it said every house has a spirit. It depends on the energy if they're welcomed or not. If there's a lot of fighting, screaming, tension, the negative energies will come and they will keep themselves because they're on that wavelength. But if it's positive, then the good ones will come in.
I think there's a lot of truth to that. I think I told you in one of the previous shows we did, I was working on one of my books and my wife was watching a serial killer movie, which you can imagine brings really horrific things. Well, I go to bed and I wake up and she's in my room and I think it's her from behind and this thing turns around and its face goes black and it jumps in the wall.
Wow, that's crazy.
That was just from having a certain movie on.
Wow.
Imagine if you're in a room and everyone's yelling at each other and how could you leave me when I was 10 or,
Yeah, exactly. And they go backwards. Exactly. It's true.
And so there's some catharsis in that. There's some healing that can occur. People mending wounds or forgiving. I think that's more of the lesson I've had to learn. I've had people that I swore up and down were my best friends. I love you. You're going to be my best friend forever. And the second my back was turned, I got the knife proverbially, but I've had to forgive that and just walk away. And in the end, you just say, look, it's their loss. It's not mine, and it's strength of you have your own identity in spirit, meaning you're not codependent. You're not relying on another human being to justify your existence. So there can be some really great moments with like family gatherings, and trust me, I've been in the room where things blew up, and but I think when you ask like Christmas spirit, I think of Miracle on 34th Street or some of those movies where Scrooge, they die and they realize they lived this horrible life. When I get together with family, it's time for me to like reflect on everything. I got, finished a new book this year, lost 50 pounds, playing guitar, still doing my sunset pictures every night. I sound like I'm in an old home already.
Don't worry.
For me, like to get with family, it's like, well, what are you up to? Where do you work? What do you do? What do you do this? And you get to find out which niece and nephew are going into which college or, which profession. So.
Yeah, exactly. So it's hard. And then with the role that they have to forgiveness, because they hold on to many stuff when they see the person, it's all tension. So practicing forgiveness also, even though you don't have to forgive them, and speak to them if they really hurt you, but that's the important part.
Yeah, all the people that I've had rapture dreams or died and went to heaven, met Jesus, like that's the overwhelming message I hear over and over and over again. And I have to agree with it. Is like, we're really not meant to carry animosity towards another human with a God divine spirit in them into the next realm. And
right.
Trust me, that is so hard for me. I've had people do the most horrific things to me or a family member, and like to just not see them that, or not guilt trip and like live in this bubble of, hurt and I can never be healed or whole again. That for me was a lot of those books that I was working so hard on channeling the angelic over the demonic, because I've had enough of the demonic. I had enough of it at a young age,
Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard to deal with because you saw a lot of stuff. I saw a lot of stuff. It comes with a price when you're very spiritual and sensitive. You see first the bad, I believe, and then the good, because you have to, like, for some reason, like even the kids, they'll always see the negative one first. And, as they grow up, it's hard, especially when they don't understand what's going on. Like, why are they seeing shadows and stuff like that?
Yeah.
So what do you think? Let's see. How can people reconnect with family that they're struggling with? What would you advise?
I've been guilty of this myself. I've got a sibling that some pretty big blow-ups and things were said that,
It's hard.
It's hard. I find myself just every few months maybe trying to reach out to them on something that we both have a common interest in, like planes or football, or send them a clip of me working on the guitar. But yeah, I mean, I think I see a lot of that in my own family, and I've lived with that kind of. People talk about like that generational curse type of thing.
Yeah.
Having grown up in my teens and early 20s and seeing older family members excommunicating each other, from the family. I can't be there if they're there, or,
It's okay.
because it becomes so like normative in your mind that then you're thinking of all the people that you feel slighted you in some way, and maybe they didn't intentionally, or maybe they've even apologized for it, but you still hold this, well, that person, I don't like them, I can never be around them again, So yeah, that's something I struggle with. I mean, I think a lot of people do. So all I try to do is block that out, not feed into it, because I think it's a trap, certainly a trap by the shadow people to trap you into something that they know, like Jesus wouldn't want you ruminating on or acting on.
Exactly. And then it just affects you and your health afterwards.
That's it too. Like I do believe there's a link. I think they will eventually find a link with harmonies and frequencies and resonances. I just got this tuning fork, and you can put it on a, and it sends this resonance through your body. And I do believe that. Like I believe if we're in lower vibration, negative thoughts, patterns, even like I have a problem with saying the F word sometimes,
Right.
or saying a dirty word. There is a vibrational state that you go down to, and you don't want to stay up for very long. I also think it leads to like fatigue, further anxiety.
You use that word like if it's nothing, the F word constantly. Now,
Yeah, then you're at work or something, and HR's there.
it's true. And words carry energy. They either lift you or bring you down. And it's true.
Yeah.
Some people get pleasure saying it. So I guess it's the vibration.
And it's so programmed into our media, our films now and TV shows.
Oh, it's everywhere. Yeah. Which is your favorite prayer to heal someone?
I was given that 3 lines. I think I shared it in a previous episode. Shanti Anunnaki Adonai, Shanti Anunnaki Anel, Shanti Anunnaki Sancti. I know that came directly from heaven. That one's been really powerful. I do a full rosary too. That includes Hail Marys, Our Fathers, Glory Bees. So those are the ones that and then I just take time and like in front of a crucifix or even a statue of Mary. I hear this constantly. Don't pray to Mary. That's evil. That's wrong. She's not alive. That's total nonsense. She can absolutely convey the prayer. It's not even an issue. Anyone that says that they don't know the truth. I've had too many direct encounters with her, and anyone that says that the devil's disguising himself as her, it's just not true. So I've seen positive. The devil wouldn't be in the business of healing people of terminal illnesses. He would want to see them suffer and be in pain until they died, and he would celebrate that. So I know that's not what I do. So those prayers, in particular, rosary, people ask me when Mary, who they claim is dead, which isn't, appeared to farm children in Spain in 1917, warning the world that we would be right where we are right now. That's how I know she's alive, because that type of vision doesn't come from anyone but the throne, right? Saying she said to these children, unless your people on earth change and do a rosary per day for world peace. This was in the height of World War I. You're going to have another war where 2/3 of the earth is going to be destroyed by fire. Now we're right at that precipice right now. That's what I think these drones are doing, is sniffing for the radioactive material. I heard there's a suitcase bomb missing. I mean, Putin's got subs off of both our coasts right now. I don't mean to be a fearmonger, but having a degree and a background I can't help but notice those things as highly abnormal. Or, B-52s turning their transponders off over Europe and giving nuclear launch codes all night. They don't do that for fun. My point is Mary was the one to give that prophecy to these children, and she said to do the rosary. So I'm just following orders. It was clearly a message from the throne, from God.
Of course.
And there's a lot of people on YouTube right now getting similar messages in the same way. They're fully human people. They haven't ascended yet. They haven't reached the glorified state yet. And they're able to communicate, or me getting an earring at a time that means harvest, or people are seeing visions. They're documenting visions of Chinese soldiers coming on our shores, nuclear explosions over major cities. Children as young as 4 talking about a firmament opening and Jesus on a cloud, when they have no frame of reference for that. No one ever taught them any kind of eschatology or Bible scriptural prophecy. That's incredible to me. That is not mass psychosis. That is communication that we are all capable of. You notice how the kids sometimes get the clearest?
Yes.
They're not that far removed from that realm.
Exactly. That's true. And they're the closest to the other side, especially when they're so little. They're innocent.
Paxton from my book, Terminal Brain Cancer, doctors doing brain scans can't figure out how he's even walking. They said he should have been on a feeding tube given the level of disease. And he's running around telling his parents about a blonde man that came in his room that no one else could see, that told him he was getting his own mansion in heaven.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
And with all the My Little Ponies he wanted. But children have imaginations, granted, but that's a highly specific visitation to me, because I've had them too. And I've had clairvoyance, and people that have been in front of these drones felt like they were being communicated with telepathically.
Wow, that's awesome.
Well, it is, unless it's the other side, right? Like, go kill yourself. We don't want that.
Actually, speaking of that, that's what it would happen when I was little in that crazy house. It would say how to do it too. So I was like, oh my God, me and Maria, it's all about me and my twin that we would experience it together. So I
remember reading your book. I mean, that's the problem with us clairvoyants, is we're kind of thin to the veil. But we can see our other side too, unfortunately. So that's what's led to my prayer. I never prayed daily. I spent 20 years not even walking into a church, and then being visited in person, like Mary appearing above your car, and you had to pull over and get a photo because you knew something was there. How do I know that? Like, what senses now are we having? That ESP, sixth sense, they call it, third eye. There's so many names for these things, but inherently, I believe that all humans can communicate on that level in the spirit realm if they choose to. I can absolutely see why some people in this world would never want that kind of awakening, because you start to realize this place is horrible. I'm working 40 hours a week to barely pay bills and eat soup. Like, there's so many of us in that boat, and I'm one too. International authors doesn't equate to rich authors at all.
I know, it's hard. It is. It's unfortunate. Some people that are making millions not to say, but it does.
Here's my thing. If you came to me knowing what I know, seeing what I've seen, I got a photo the other day of my own head in profile in a glorified yellow cloud.
Wow.
And the letter M right next to the nose. So I knew it was for me. Clearly a preview of something coming, right? That's what I believe. If you came to me and you said, and I talked about this in my book of this past life of fame and money and heavy alcohol and drug use,
Yeah. Do you hear me, right? You hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. So my point is if you came to me and said, choose all the riches of this world, and there's a Bible quote that says that, a camel through the eye of a needle. It's easier for a camel to go through an eye of a needle than a rich man to enter heaven. So you ask me which one I would choose, I'm going to choose heaven every time.
Let's take a very quick commercial break, and we'll be right back right after these messages. Stay tuned, everybody.
I'm sorry to bother you, but I have 30 seconds to give you a very important message. My name is Arthur Lee. I'm the CEO and inventor of LifeVac, a simple choking rescue device that could save a life in a choking emergency. We've saved over 3,000 lives now, but we're not there. 5,000 people a year choke to death, one child every 5 days. Please consider protecting your family in a choking emergency with LifeVac. Go to lifevac.net today. Thank you for your time.
Hi, I am Linda DeVitis. I am a psychic, clairvoyant medium, and certified healer. I have also written a book, My Journey from Darkness to the Light, which is available on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, and on my website, www.healingsonthego.com. If you would like to book an appointment with me, call me at 917-929-4935. Thank you. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back with my special guest, Matthew Pinard. Oh boy. Today's the effects of the full moon, so there's kind of turbulence in the air.
It was very bright here Sunday night. Very bright, like glowing yellow.
Wow. That's amazing. So for someone who doesn't really connect spiritually, what's a simple step they could take to start connecting with angels or divine energy?
Very good question. I do it through the church that I was raised in. I don't think it necessarily has to be that. I do find holy water extremely powerful and necessary for what I do. I put it, people ask me, like, what do you do with your skin? It's so youthful. You look 30. That's what I do. I go into a church and I just feel it's protection for me. I keep it in my home. Candles, obviously, religious candles. I would say prayer and rosary. A rosary would be a great way to start. That's a prayer that's been around for hundreds of years. Plus, it was what was told to these farm children as to what we should be doing. So I do it out of respect for that. And it's a beautiful thing. If you don't know what it is, it's like a necklace of beads. And, there's like 3 Our Fathers, there's 10 Glory Bees, and then there's like 50 Hail Marys, and each bead is a prayer. So you go along the beads. They can be protective. I keep them in my car. That prayer that I was given, I found very effective. I don't give that out unless somebody wants it. There's a doctrine that says you can't be additive, but I don't feel like I was the one that added it. I felt like I received it. I had another psychic clairvoyant to confirm that too. She's like, yeah, that was a download. It's potent. It's been very potent with these healings and these miracles that I've gotten. I did it, like I was in St. George, Utah, and I was doing that prayer, and they had a miracle there where blood appeared on a handkerchief that a guy was going out to give communion had, and it just appeared on his handkerchief. No rational, logical explanation for that. There's a woman there that I did prayers for, the prayers that I mentioned, and I can type these up for anybody if they want them. Like 12, I met her in a church, and I showed her some of my photos of my books, and she just was enamored. She ended up being a chapter in one of my books, The Lion's Gate. And so I'd done prayers for her. She was in this bad car accident, and she wanted to get rid of her cane. And 12 like literal roses appeared in the skies after I did the prayer with her. Wow. In front of a statue. A lot of times it's like, we'll touch hands and the other hand will touch the statue. It can be a crucifix. It can be a statue of Mary. That's not inappropriate at all. She can absolutely convey what we're asking for.
Right.
So yeah, those ones. And I've just seen, that's what the books have documented. Like I'll literally put in there, my wife got cured of Hashimoto's. Like she was told she had this thyroid condition, and I did the same thing I just mentioned, the Ashanti and then the rosary, and a blue butterfly appeared in the sky at sunset that night, right after I did it. Well, the thyroid is considered the butterfly gland.
Oh, wow.
And she had gotten some labs that suggested thyroid disease, and then went back and got them run again, and they're like, your thyroid's totally fine.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
A miracle. Total miracles.
I'd say prayer. Anybody can walk into a church. Most our churches are unlocked most of the day. You can walk in there on your own. There's little pamphlets there that talk about, there's totally different Latin type prayers for exorcism or, spiritual protection under attack. So there's all litany of things that can be found. That's why I go to a Catholic church. It's the oldest. It's got the most historical, different kinds of prayers. And it was funny when I mentioned that the prayers in the church and the roses appeared. Well, the next morning, somebody came into the church and there was a statue of St. Teresa, and there was a pamphlet, and it talked about a dozen roses, and St. Teresa was holding a dozen roses.
Oh, wow. Isn't that amazing?
So that's my point. Like people would say, well, you can't pray to a dead saint. They're not going to hear you.
So
totally nonsense. That's the whole point of their canonization, is they're in a glorified state. The rapture resurrection that people talk about, and are constantly, there's 20 different rapture channels on YouTube now, if not more, is a return of the body to this light, this light condition. I'll show you a photo here and I'll see if I can put it up on the camera. But this was taken, and you can literally look really close. You can literally.
Okay. Wow.
So it's my head. It's my head inside of a cocoon cloud.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's clearly like you can see my hairline, the darkness of the hair, the fleshy face, and a nose.
You saw it in the sky?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
After those kinds of prayers. And I was also asking about, is the rapture coming? Am I going? I think there's a lot of people right now too. And you talk about tension at Christmas parties. Not everyone is awake right now. And not everyone believes in a rapture. I have relatives that are hardcore Catholics, and they say that's anti-Catholic to talk about the rapture. There's no such thing. So I think there's a ton of anxiety, being that the world is on this precipice of real danger, that people are afraid to talk about things like what's after this, God, death. I get it. I mean, it's hard for me to not feel total anxiety throughout the day just from watching a couple headlines.
I know.
It's
stressful, and everybody's scared. The mass energy is very fearful, of course.
Well, and then also, if you do believe in like the Revelation prophecies, it doesn't get better from here. There's a world leader that comes on the stage. People are forced into certain things. And one world order, one world religion, one world currency, one world, microchipping thing on your forehead and hand. So it's not, I hate to not paint a rosy picture, but you can see why people have anxiety, especially now around the holidays.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Well, let's see. Are there any specific rituals or affirmations that could bring peace and joy during this crazy time?
So I talked about Jim and talking about we're reaching for death on the end of a candle. My favorite thing for me, if you ask me, if you read my books and you say, how in the heck did you get that to appear, or how did that person get healed, or whatever it is in them, that's what I do. Is I walk into a church when no one's there. I take the holy water that's there. I put it on me. I sit down. I do a full rosary. I often, if they have a chapel, I'll walk in there and randomly open the Bible. This morning I did that, and it was all about like wrath, divine judgment, and God's righteous reign, which those are the next few things on the tribulation, revelation timeline, right? Rapture, tribulation, and an anti-hero comes along. This one world system thrives for a number of years. Then he returns again in the end, and 1,000-year reign, the righteous reign. So that's how I do it. And if there's candles, I'll put my palms over them. I don't know what that does. It was just something that was shown to me. I can't explain how.
I know, that's so hard.
That Ashante prayer that I got, it's just 3 lines, and it was like it appeared in a screen that was going. So I knew it was from probably Mary herself, a high-ranking angel that was able to transmit it down here. See, I just think like heaven is this, like wormhole travels to different dimensions, to different universes. That's all that I think. In fact, people's rapture, that's what it looks like when it looks like this swirl portal opens up in the sky and figure comes out. Everyone goes through this portal, and there's this, huge. So I think there's genuine, when anybody that says like science and religion aren't related, I highly disagree. I think quantum physics, the existence of multiple dimensions, spiritual dimensions, but also consider all alternative realities, even physical universes, even Earth-like planets where there's tremendous population. I think all that exists. And I think once we die and cross over. And people have said that in their near-death experiences. I came into this room filled with light. There were these beings, they had wings, or there was a throne, or, I was sent back through the tunnel. And it's highly suggestive of like being in a spiritual body, going through things like wormholes that a physical body couldn't go through, right? So I think that there's just so much more to this experience, meaning the 3 dimensions that we are forced to live in. Some people call it a prison planet. I can't disagree with that at the moment, but wait till it gets worse. Wait till we're all being microchipped on purpose and forcefully. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but it seems very close to that right now to me. These drone things, and no one knows what they are, but then Trump says the government knows what they are, but then we're not going to tell you what they are, but they're not dangerous. Like, who's going to feel good about that?
Real quick, if someone wanted to reach out to you, where can they find you?
I have a website. It's just my name, Matthew, with 2 T's, Douglas with 1 S, and then P as in paper, INARD.com. There's links to Amazon on there. There's different photos that you'll see that are spiritual photos, apparitions of definite energies, entities, cross-dimensional spirits.
They could find your book there too, right?
Yeah.
They can find your book.
Yeah. You can leave comments. Some people have reached out like, will you pray for my husband just got diagnosed with blah, blah, blah. That's happened a lot. And I will, and I do. And I always follow up with photos. Like, I don't charge for it at all. And I'll send them a photo. Hey, I prayed for you today. Look, your heart and your initial appeared, and they find more comfort in just seeing that, right, than experiencing even the healing yet. But I think it starts to dawn on them, maybe this guy knocked on something that really is answering.
Well, we only have like 1 or 2 more minutes left, but thank you so much, Matthew, for tuning in. It's always been a pleasure and an honor to have you on.
It's a good discussion. I think it's a relevant one. I wish everybody a Merry Christmas and really wonderful holidays, and let's all pray that, something horrifically tragic does not happen on the military security level type of scenario. But I hope you all are well and love your families over the holidays. I think that's the message I would leave.
Well, thank you so much for being on today.
Yeah.
And whoever hasn't checked out his book, go to Facebook. You always post on it. So check him out, Matthew Pinyard. It's been awesome. Thank you so much for being on again.
No problem.
Have a great night, everyone. Thank you for tuning in.
Reverend says goodbye.